Let's start our conversation now. I was hoping to be joined via Skype by the Managing Director, CEO of Financial Derivatives Company Limited, Mr. Bismarck Rewane, but he joins me now via telephone for us to take a look at the 2015 budget and the issues that have been raised in the last couple of days. But thank you so much, Mr. Rewane, for joining me on the program.
Yeah, good morning, Harriet.
Well, I'm sure it was quite an interesting, read for analysts, with regards how the House is making their own adjustments with regards some of the benchmarks. Let's start with the benchmark for oil price. Now, they're setting it, they're proposing that oil benchmark should be left at $54 a barrel as against the Senate's proposal of $52 and the executive's proposal of $65. Is this a more realistic assumption at this time?
Well, the truth is that the benchmark price is just a guide to use the budget as an estimate. The reality is that other oil-producing countries like ourselves, both in Africa and in Europe, and even Russia, are using $40 as their benchmark price. The spot price today is $60, so there's enough headroom between the $52 proposed and the $60, which is the cotton price. But if you look at the average for the year for 2015, I think 52 is a realistic level, and the executive actually is now proposing 52. Left to me as an economist, I will use 50 to be on the safe side, right? So that's what I would say the safe bet at this time.
But why 50? If you say that most of all these other oil-producing countries are, setting their benchmark at as low as $40, why would you be, of the opinion or proposing that for Nigeria's 2015 budget, the benchmark should be $50 per barrel?
I think that when you project forward and see exactly our crude is Brent burning light, and while the WTI is the other type of crude which the other countries are producing. So there's a $12 premium between the spot price of WTI and what we are producing. So our benchmark will not be exactly the same thing as the other countries. Venezuela and Iran, they don't produce light sweet crude. So definitely, if they are using 40 and we are using 50, we are taking provision of the premium on our type of crude.
So let's take another look at one of the other proposals. That's the 198 naira per dollar exchange rate is being proposed by the House. Is this also realistic, especially with the recent adjustment in the official naira to dollar exchange rate by the CBN?
Yes, it is realistic. The reality is that the higher the exchange rate used, the more nominal naira that the government will receive, because you are multiplying this exchange rate by the dollars that you get. So I think in the interest of the House, and the higher the exchange rate, which is the weaker the naira, the better for them. But the reality is that a weaker naira doesn't mean anything, because you are getting more naira, more of the weaker naira than that you previously estimated. But you have to step back a little bit. What is the budget? A budget is an estimate of revenue and expenditure. But also it's a tool for management. If we use an exchange rate of 198, the states and the federal governments will get a certain amount. But also it has an inflationary pressure and put additional pressure on the exchange rate down the road. So personally, if I were to choose a rate, I would use 198 or 200, right? And then we'll come back, and then if the naira appreciates later on in the year, then we can always adjust backwards.
So now, with this proposal, of course, the executive is saying 165, the Senate is saying 190, and the House may be going by popular demand from economists like yourself and other analyst expectations that we should put it at 198. Would this not put more pressure on the monetary authority to do probably another adjustment, either go, basis points forward or basis points backward?
No, you see, the monetary authorities use the exchange rate, one, for stability, and two, strategically to help encourage export of non-oil products. So if your exchange rate is artificially overvalued, and you put it at 190, while in fact, reality is in the interbank market, for it to clear today, get about with serious stuff. It's better you do that 205, and then you allow your cocoa and your rubber and your and your palm kernels and all will be world price, so that you're competing against Ivory Coast, Ghana, Cameroon in those products. Your oil, as you know, is priced in dollars. So whether you devalue your currency or not, the price of oil will remain the same in terms of its dollar value. So the thing to do is to actually use an exchange rate that is realistic, that aligns your fiscal policy with your monetary policy. And the monetary policy authorities are not really worried about the exchange rate. All they want to do is to make sure that the exchange rate is stable. So it is stability of the exchange rate that is the key variable at this time.
So all of this means that, you know, the proposal to have non-oil exports increased to the rate where it is at the moment is actually still in order, because if we have more naira coming in, it's better in terms of the non-oil export revenue.
Yes. No, let me explain it to you. The truth is that you buy in selling your cocoa, when you're selling your cocoa, the naira price, let us say it's 300,000 per ton. When you divide that by 200, you get the dollar rate. So today, if you buy cocoa in the southwest of Nigeria, it comes out about $2,700 a ton. The price in the world is about 3,100. So the farmer in Oyo State and Osun State gets more naira now because he's using dollars, and therefore, you know, you plant more, you get greater acreage, and then your cocoa exports will increase relative to your other exports, and that is what Nigeria wants in a final analysis.
So, to get more now, we're looking at ways of plugging excess funds, you know, from seeping out, and that's why they're also proposing the scrapping of the service-wide votes of about 360.94 billion naira. But what are your thoughts on this?
No, you see, what the whole idea of scrapping the service-wide funds and all that is to ensure that leakage. You see, the budget has some elements. One, the spending, and then the other thing is the leakage, right? So if there's a leakage, then what the National Assembly is saying that, and you come back to the other issues which you want to discuss, that is the Shopee and the other things. The National Assembly is trying to insist that, one, there's implementation, there's a reduction in leakage, and that there's an impact from the money that is being spent. While the fiscal authorities, that is the Ministry of Finance, is insisting that we would like to spend our money efficiently, we would like to have those sectors that have the greatest multiplier effect on economic activity and to create jobs. Naturally, there's always a conflict between the legislature and the executive in every country, even in the U.S. So it's not surprising that they will have this kind of conflict. Hello?
Oh, sorry, I can hear you. I lost you there for a minute, yes.
Yeah, I'm saying that that's not an issue. That will be resolved between the legislature and the executive.
Fine. Let's take another look at the scrapping of, or the reduction, the slashing rather, of Shopee funds by 100 billion naira. You already mentioned that, of course, the budget is supposed to, as much as possible, help the sectors that generate jobs to begin to create these jobs. And now with the Shopee funds would actually supposed to go in that direction to, you know, help, you know, unemployed graduates and the rest of it. But with the slashing now by over 100 billion naira to about 21 billion naira, is this not going to hurt, or it's going to be more of a disadvantage than an advantage for Nigerians?
No, as a matter of fact, Shopee assumes that there will be a subsidy, right? And the subsidy reinvestment, that's what it's called. In today's environment, it is more likely that first and foremost, the subsidy is going to be reduced sharply. Secondly, we might have a situation where there's no subsidy, so Shopee becomes actually just an academic argument.
An academic argument.
Yes, there's no place for Shopee in a subsidy-free environment.
But then you see a lot of people now feel that this budget, which is supposed to be a transition budget, will not really be protecting the most vulnerable and might not be realistic based on the fact that the economy is trying to transit from an oil-based economy to a non-oil-based economy.
Yes, but the question is that if you take away the subsidy, right, and you have efficient investment in all the other sectors rather than government, you say Shopee means that the subsidy that is withdrawn is being spent by the government, and we believe that the government is not an efficient investor or utilizer of investable funds. That money should be left in the private sector so that the private sector can create the jobs that are there, rather than having the Shopee as an intervention mechanism. What have we achieved so far with Shopee? I'm not so sure we have achieved much. So the argument is there. That's why I say it is academic. Shopee, since the subsidy amount is reduced, the amount available to Shopee will be reduced. Shopee's activity becomes insignificant. As a matter of fact, down the road, Shopee will be scrapped.
So if the Shopee is scrapped, what happens to all the agencies and all the graduates who have actually come under this program, who have actually benefited from this program? We now still have a large chunk of unemployed graduates who are still looking for jobs.
No, Shopee, before Shopee, the graduates are looking for jobs. After Shopee, graduates will look for jobs. Jobs are created by the private sector. No, you don't have people just going around and governments creating jobs. The government creates an environment, investors create businesses, the businesses employ people. The small and medium-scale enterprises in this country, if well energized, will be able to employ all the people in this country. We cannot wait for agencies of government that will create all sorts of phantom jobs. Those are not jobs.
Okay, so just for academic basis, purely academic argument basis, that's why we have that particular conversation. Yes. But on a much more stronger note, looking at all these proposed amendments adjustments from the Senate, from the House of Representatives, do you think that the executive will go with the flow?
Well, first and foremost, the timing is there's so much time. We have to approve the budget, and so we'll negotiate and come up with the terms. The executive will go along with this budget. Will go along with the budget because, quite frankly, there's the areas of difference are not that wide. Secondly, this is a lame duck legislature. So whatever they approve and all of that, we are still going to have a supplementary budget immediately after the swearing in, right? So whoever is the president, they will have a new cabinet, and the new cabinet will present a supplementary budget, which will take into consideration the second half of 2015. Right now, what we are doing is to have a system that will carry us through to the elections and the swearing in of the renewal of the mandate of the incumbent president.
But what happens if the executive disagrees with the proposed adjustments? Will it cause a delay in getting the president to notice? It will
cause a delay, but the executive will negotiate. That is why, you see, the legislature there's a PDP legislature, there's a PDP executive. Among themselves, they should be able to resolve this issue. But what is important is that if you have to resolve it in time, because the Nigerian public and the Nigerian economy cannot be allowed to suffer.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Aruwani, for joining me on the program this morning.
Thank you,
yes, enjoy your day.
Thank you. Sure.
The Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company Limited, Mr. Bismarck Aruwani, joined me via telephone to share his thoughts on the recent adjustments we've seen coming from the Senate and, of course, the House of Representatives with regards to some key aspects of the budget. I was actually hoping that we'd have some slides of that to show which areas exactly that the three, that is the Senate, the House of Representatives, and the executives have taken their stands. But with regards the major one, which is the benchmark for oil price, the House of Representatives, after the meeting and considerations, actually decided and are proposing that the benchmark for oil price should be put at $54 per barrel. Don't forget that last week when the Senate actually had deliberations, they proposed that the oil benchmark price should be put at about $52 per barrel. This is against what was said about the executive. The executive is actually proposing $65 per barrel. They're also suggesting and proposing that the exchange rate, the dollar to naira exchange rate, should be 198. The Senate had actually proposed 190, and the executive was proposing 165 naira to the dollar. But according to what Mr. Aruwani has said, and according to what most economists are actually expecting, it should actually be pegged at 198 naira to the dollar, because this will mean more naira for the country as well. And the reduction in the short P funds by over 100 billion naira is also seemingly being encouraged by some economists, not most economists, some economists. But all of these amendments are going to actually have to get to the executive, and the executive will also deliberate. The National Assembly has to sit together, have to meet and actually debate on this budget before agreeing and then passing it on to the executive, who will actually also look into it and all the recommendations made by the National Assembly before they are sent to it. Well, Business Morning will continue in just a moment, and when we come back, we'll take a quick look at some company news, and then we'll end the show for today.